Hello Gemini, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I'm preparing here to do your reading, Gemini. So this round of readings, I feel like I have already some kind of feeling of something here. When I do the Aries reading, I sometimes get like a touch or a feeling of what is to come for the round of readings that I'm doing. This time it seems to be about maybe something like something ancient, something forgotten or lost, ancient, old. It can be something, when I say ancient, like we can go really far back in time, but it can also be, from your childhood, something that is a long time ago perhaps, and you haven't thought about it or you haven't connected with it. In the Aries reading, I talked about like the Big Bang and some of the very early like energies that were present on Earth at that time. At that time, Earth was not this vibrant, flourishing, fertile planet we have today with water and vegetation and everything. It was a burning planet. So I don't know what is going to come forth here for you, Gemini, still. Only that every time I'm touching upon twin energy and Gemini energy, there is a light and a darkness, or an up or a down, and like one way and the other way, and there could be like a conflict or a paradox or a dilemma, different interests that has to do with one part of you wants to go one way and another part of you wants to go another way here. Okay, so 4 of Michael, I have a flyer here. Insight that comes from quiet meditation, the need for more sleep or time off, seek relief from stress. She is sitting here in the forest resting, and then it's like there are something, well, they look like paper, colorful party lamps, but they could also be like a well, it's interesting. It's like something, I see it like something is sitting on the lamp, like moth to a flame. Like that when there is darkness and there is suddenly a flame here, the moth, it's like it has no choice. It's drawn to it, right? And it's like there's sitting one on each of them here. It's almost like, one is resting here. And while they are resting, something else is going on here. Something else is being attracted or being drawn in, perhaps. Interesting. It's almost like if you just rest, and yeah, okay, that can be it. Well, in the law of attraction idea, there's this idea that if we hold on to something too tightly, like we want something so badly, it's like we are crushing the energy. So if we want something too badly, it cannot manifest itself. Like, let's say you have a partner and you hold on to them for dear life, like you won't let them go. Like, you won't let them leave for work, you won't let them leave for anything. It's like you are holding on to them so tightly, right? Eventually they can become irritated, right? It's an agony if someone is very needy and holds on for dear life, something like that. To a certain level, we need to have a certain amount of space still, even though we are in a partnership. If one is holding on too tightly to something else, it's like it can't breathe. It's almost like it gets crushed, or it's leaving because it can't breathe. It's like the energy can be sucked out of it, and it needs to go somewhere to breathe and rejuvenate, right? So I don't know if there's something like that going on, if we hold on to a wish, let's say, I want this job so badly. I think about it every day. It's all I care about. It's all I want. It's all I'm occupied with. I'm obsessed with it. According to the law of attraction, the universe would do one more thing. It would say, okay, they are obsessed about wanting something so badly. Okay, we keep sending that then. It seems like that's what they want. They want to be obsessed about wanting something, so we keep sending that. We keep sending that the thing that they want to have is out there, not with them. It's out there. They are obsessed to have it, like they crave it, but it's still out there. So we keep doing that, like we keep that up, right? We make sure that it's still out there, because this is what it seems that they want. They want to crave this. So that's what we're doing. As opposed to your thinking it's already here. I know it makes no sense, or normally we don't think about that. So you can pray about it. You pray that you will find this new boyfriend or girlfriend. You pray that something very significant is going to happen, and you can think about it all over. You can be obsessed about your money situation. You don't feel you have enough. And you keep thinking about it. Oh, I don't have enough. I don't have what it takes. I'm not good enough, and blah, blah. And then you keep this spinning. It keeps spinning. And the universe is saying, okay, it seems like this person is very occupied with not having enough or not being enough or so. So we keep sending that. Like we keep that up. So people stay poor. Because it's the thing that they keep wanting money. They keep wanting or keep searching for money. They keep searching for a relief. So that's what the universe sends. It sends the search for something. So you can keep searching for something, or you can change the way you think and say that it's already here. That's the first step. The next step is to align yourself with the vibration of what it is you're trying to get in. So if you come from a very poor state and you are very lack-oriented, and you want to be rich, you want to be a millionaire, eventually you can't stay in a lack mentality and expect abundance to come in. Like you have to shift away from that. Like to let the poverty thing go and then align more with the idea that you have everything. That you are already supplied, that everything is here, that you are built up, you have everything, you are well nurtured, you have cornucopia around you, you're surrounded with all the support and everything you want. if you still stay in lack mentality, you can't manifest both, you could say, at the same time. You start by thinking, and then you add the feeling to it. That is at least what some of these spiritual teachers talk about. And I feel like the card that was flying out before is talking something about that. If we hold on to something and become obsessed with it, it's like we cannot, the solution for it cannot breathe, you can say. There's no room for it to move. There's no room for it to solve itself. There's no room in the universe for it to be moved or changed in some way. So let's say if people are grieving, so if people are sitting in a grief situation and they are very, very devastated by the grieving, you will probably not be happy and grieving at the same time. As long as you are very enmeshed and very deepened into the grief and the loss of something, you will probably not have much happiness and joy and lightness in your life at the same time. In order for you to have lightness, some of the grief must, you could say, be eliminated or be changed into a sense of acceptance or something. You have to change the current state in order for you to align with something else. So if you are crying every day, you are devastated, you can't work, you can't even get out of bed, you are crippled by your grief, you would say. In order for you to change that, some of the grief must go. Some of the heartbreak must go or be changed, or some of the loss must be accepted. Ways to move forward must be found. Otherwise, you keep staying in that position. What else? Like when people are very happy, like very lit up, not just, they're not just like laughing because of a joke, like they're really internally having this sense of lightness and warmth and light and love, and they are utterly embracing that. If you really own that, even though you meet a grumpy person, like it will not take this away. Like, well, you can have a conversation with a grumpy person, and maybe for a minute, like your light could be a bit like fluttering, right? But then it stabilizes itself again. If, like when you are not with them anymore. But if you are forced to be with someone who is very grumpy and sad, or maybe grieving, right? Like if someone is grieving and you sit next to them, and you are normally a quite jolly or happy person, yet you find life exhilarating and fun and exciting, then you can find that your light or this feeling is dimmed when you are with a person that is very that like in deep grief, and again you can be there for a while, and when you leave again your light will come again. But if you're forced to be with them, this can be a like something that keeps dimming your light, you could say. It keeps dimming your energy. Because it seems that this grieving energy, if it's not moving, if it's not processing its grieving state, it never gets to a different state. It never gets to a state of acceptance or a state of, okay, I need to have new input. Like if it keeps reinforcing itself, you know, like people in an addiction, like if it keeps reinforcing itself in a particular state, and you are forced somehow to be with them, and you can see that no matter what you do, no matter what you bring, it stays the same. Like it's the same thing. Then eventually you could have, like, to survive, like to keep your core intact, you would need to leave. At least for minutes, you would need to leave, right? Because it becomes too dark in here, or too heavy in here. So you would need to leave from time to time. Otherwise you can't, like, you can't sustain your own energy. So what am I saying? I feel like, again, the twin element in you, like you may have a twin, right? You may literally have a physical twin. Or you are Gemini, and it means that you have two sides to a story inside you. You could have a part of you that is going through something, or that is dealing with something. And then you can have another part of you that wants to engage in life, right? You know, one that cannot or is not currently available to engage. And then another one that would like to, perhaps. As I said, if you have a part of you grieving, or let's say your body is not, that you're not healthy. Maybe you're ill at the moment. Maybe you have physical limitations for some reason, but you still have an adventurous side that wants to go out there and experience and engage and be jolly and light and having conversation. And then you have this other side that is depressed, you know. So the depression can be something you're trying to hide. And then you can have this more jolly side that you try to present to the world, because then people will interact with you. People that are depressed, well, they are normally not that fun to be around, right? And I get it. I have experienced depression. It's not a fun thing to be in. And a person that is depressed actually needs help, you could say, right? But to be the one that helps the depressed person, like having that role is not necessarily uplifting, right? It's a bit of a sad state, you could say, or it's like you have to have contact here. You have to align yourself with that energy. Like they cannot lift themselves up to yours. Like that would be great if they could lift themselves up to yours. You could have a jolly great experience. But if someone is like low here, you actually have to become lower to engage with them. That is, again, the law of vibration or the law of attraction. It's like, if you are jolly, 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 this one could be a bit offended, or they don't want your company, because they want you to understand them. They need you to care. They need you to embrace that they are sad, or at least give them some credit for the situation they're in. They can engage with you if you are jolly, 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 jolly here. So that is one of the reasons why that, and we know that, right, that if we go into the hospital, we are visiting someone who is in one of the rooms there, like we quiet ourselves, right? We know that, okay, there are sick and ill people here, so I take on this presence of being more considerate and not that loud. People are feeling very like unwell here, so I understand that this is not very great. I know what it feels like to not be well, so I'm not being too jolly here, right? Because it doesn't fit. It's not a match, right? It's not a match to be overly jolly when you are in a hospital visiting someone there. Like then you put on your caring nature, right? You put on this like a slower pace. You talk more quiet, perhaps. You like you're not running around. You become more quiet, more. You align yourself with what is needed in the situation. You could say, right? At least if you care about the person, you do that. So what am I saying? I'm saying that there could be something like that playing out. Something like that one part of you that, like, you know, like that there could be different parts of you, like your inner twins are debating, you know, or they are not on the same wavelength. One is requiring perhaps peace and quiet and alone time to heal from something, and the other one is looking for fun and engagement or excitement, or I don't know, something that they can be engaged in, something your mind could be engaged in, like a puzzle or something to solve, a crime mystery or something, right? You have a very vibrant mind, Gemini, right? It needs to engage with something. But there could be this feeling that the one you want to engage with, for instance, like they are not in a state where they can do that at the moment. And then I feel like, again, this feeling of it can be old, like what they are processing is old. So it could be a childhood wound, it could be even old, like if you believe in past lives and all the way back to the beginning, you could say, of something here. There's something about you could have an inner discussion, an inner conflict that is playing out. You could have that you're engaging with someone else and they are just not, you know, they don't want to engage, or they are carrying a different vibe than you. Not necessarily grieving, but you know, they are in a different state and they can't engage with you in the same manner, right? You are not aligned because of it, like, or they could maybe become a more jolly energy, right? But for now, they are in a process of something and they cannot engage, like you're not aligned, you could say. As I said with the wealth idea, if someone is very poor, like comes from poor, very lack-based orientation, the idea of becoming a millionaire is great, but it takes a while perhaps for a person to align themselves with the idea of having everything. That everything is available, everything is here, everything is great, everything is perfect and beautiful and abundant and colorful and easy and light. and vibrant and fun and everything if they have been living off, breadcrumbs. Like if you look at Africa, like if you should change the entire consciousness on the continent, how do you do that? It's there are few that are rich, and then there is a lot who are not, and who have only like real basic things. So how do you change like a continent like Africa to believe in vibrancy and cornucopia and infinite supply and freedom and lightheartedness and fun and peace and everything? How do you like take a continent like that with so much history of slavery and whatever, poverty, like how do you expect that something like that is like changing from one state of being into another, right? So I guess there is a sense of patience needed here. Like we need to, it's like it's easier to change the direction of a little sailboat than it is like a giant container ship, right? It takes a while because it's heavier, right? It's loaded with so much narrative and pain and everything. We can't expect things to just like quickly change like that. And we have to also accept that the other one has free will. Like maybe they will never change. Like maybe they stay in this position forever. In this lifetime, in other lifetimes, maybe they will never change. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a life like where you are engaging in the things you want to engage in. So this can be this other person or thing or something can be, it can be a heavy thing to deal with. Like it could be your local environment. It could be your work, where you just feel like you have all these great new ideas, right? And your boss is just this gunk, like slow, not moving, not... I remember I have a cousin, is the same age as me. He is a Catholic priest in Norway. And I remember he told me many years ago when he was studying theology and wanted to become a priest. He told me that within the Catholic Church, like tremendous change within the Catholic Church doesn't happen within, maybe 300-400 years. So don't expect you to come in as a new priest to revolutionize everything, right? You are entering an environment, or you are entering some situation that is big. It has a lot of narrative, it has a lot of story, and it's well kept. There are big walls here that keep this very solid, very unchanged, you could say, for many, many hundreds of years. So you see, coming in as a young priest in an environment like that, you can either run away from it again, or you can adapt and become part of it, because it won't move like that. It's not moving that quickly. So you see, again, it's something very quick moving here, right? Like a child, and then you have an elderly sitting in their wheelchair here. And they're not moving quickly. They can't. It's like it could be set in stone. There is no way of them to move that quickly. We could even say that if we talk about yin and yang, yin is like originally an ice, if you look at just yin energy very isolated, it's passive. Like it doesn't move much. It's quiet, it's passive. Yang energy is active. It moves, right? It moves around. It has to do stuff. It's occupied with something. It's always on the move somehow. So you have these two things, like two energies beside each other, right? It's not easy to like find common ground between them, maybe because they are very different. Like, how are they supposed to align? Usually inside of us we have both. We have both masculine and feminine energy, and normally we do find some kind of inner sense of connection and peace and something like that. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes we keep looking for this other half that it seems like we don't have access to. And we're looking outside because we have given up on the inside. We haven't found it in here. Because we can't find it in here, we are looking outside, another person. So I feel like, Gemini, for you, there could be a part of yourself that you could be closed off to, or you have somehow realized that this other thing in me is maybe not vibrant. You are a masculine air sign, so you would be over here, being the jolly or the active one. Maybe you're dealing with something here that is not quite moving. Your opposite, Gemini, is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire energy. Well, I guess it should be moving as well. Now suddenly I get this feeling of moth to a flame, that the Sagittarius energy is not moving, and you are the moth, right, that flies like those paper lamps in the card I showed you earlier. That you could be the one that is flying here, and is flying to the lamp, to the fire. So you know, you could want, you could say, to engage with this other energy, but it seems, I get a feeling of a bit of lifeless, or a bit of troubled in some way. And you know, you could try to fix it, right? You could try to see if you could fix it. But the more you do that, the more you try to fix it, the more dimmed your energy can become. So you can lose some energy by trying to keep engaging, you would say, with something that seems like it's low in some way, you know, or it's troubled in some way. But opposites attract. Sometimes it's actually that, you know, that maybe your very vibrant, always moving mind is exactly what this Sagittarius wants. You know, let's say that this energy over here, I'm not saying it's a Sagittarius, I say it could be, right? Sagittarius is usually quite adventurous. It's the philosopher. They like to read, I believe, to engage, to know things about the world. But let's say they are not able to move. Let's say they are handicapped. They are laying in a bed. They can't be adventurous, but you can. You can go out there and take pictures of everything. You can come back and tell the stories, right? You can engage by using your vibrancy here, everything. You can visit towns and people and everything, and then you can bring the stories back to this one. Because this one can move, this one is, maybe paralyzed. This one is in a hospital. This one is in a rehab center, or this one is in somehow not able to be their normal self, you could say. But you are, like, you can be the one that flies around. You are the one reading all the newspapers, and then you are telling the stories to the one who cannot read the stories, who's not able to read the newspapers, who is not able, like, to see the film, right? Or if their eyesight is bad, or you get my point, right? Something here is in a dim state, and you are the one that can, like, you can be the one that is flying around here and doing something, right? But if this is not moving at all, no matter how much you're flying here, no matter how much you are providing here, if they're not moving, that they stay the same, they never seem to improve. You can keep doing like this, can become a spinning wheel for you, that you feel like you have to engage in this. Like, let's say this is a spouse who has had an injury, like they had a car accident, and you are taking care of them at home, right? You are fixing everything here. And you can do that, of course, but they seem like they are not moving. They are not getting better, or they are not improving. Or if they are improving, it's very, very slow, right? Then you just have to know that this can become an endless circle for you somehow to do this, right? And eventually maybe needing to also ask yourself because if we are primarily engaging only with this and not with other energy that is vibrant like you will lose your energy here. Because in order for you to have contact here, you have to dim your light down. You can be quick up here to fix things around them, but if you want to have contact, you will need to dim your light. As I said, you're visiting them in the elderly center or in the rehab facility. They are feeling very ill. They are not feeling well. When you enter the room, you have already dimmed down your energy. Like, you have already, I'm not speaking that loudly. There are other people in the room. You can see how the curtains have been closed to create a more dim light if they want to sleep or rest, right? So you enter with the same energy. When you go out of the room, then you can be the fixer again. You can bring food. You can bring them, you can bring them a newspaper. You can fetch some kind of food. You can go back to their apartment and feed the cats. You can buy things and put in the refrigerator around them, right? Around them. But when you are with them, it becomes dimmer, right? Slower. It becomes quieter. And that it can maybe be okay for a while, but then you have to get out again, right? I have that kind of scenario here. And as I said, this can be a never ever, like a never ending story, that you keep doing this for someone, maybe Sagittarius energy, right? For someone, because this is their state. This is the state they're in. And it can be old. So this can be an elderly person. It can be an old wound. It can be someone you care about a lot and they have been hurt maybe many years ago. Many years ago. And because you still care about them, you come from time to time and visit them, but you know the interaction is not the same. Maybe once you were vibrant together, you played together, you know. But coming together now is not the same. Something has changed because one of you is not active. Or, yeah, I get a feeling of like handicapped, slow, not the vibrancy that it used to be, right? Not how it used to be. But for old sake or for some kind of like old friendship, I can't just leave them behind, or you know, something like that. I don't wanna. It's my best friend. It's my, let's say this is a physical twin that you're dealing with. That you have a physical twin, and they have something may have happened to them. I feel like for twins, like that would be very difficult to leave them behind, right? Or to just not visit them, or to just not go there, to not come somehow and be, you know, interacting with them. I feel like that would be this sense of obligation, and like it's my counterpart. It's especially for identical twins. It's like I can't not do that. Like they are me, right? Like we are the same. We are like he or she is me. So I can't. What if this was me and I was the one sitting here? I can't not just. I can't. There's something like that here, right? But it feels like it could be old, or it could be from your childhood. It could be even, as I said, from a different lifetime. It could be a bloodline thing, something like inherited knowledge through blah blah. If you don't feel like it resonates with you, of course it's not your reading. If you don't feel like you have any memory of something like that, well then of course it's not for you. But if you do, and you can't you can't think like going back in your childhood, that maybe it doesn't fit. Like maybe you feel like, yeah, but I don't have a twin like that. I haven't had some kind of injury, or I haven't had some kind of, so I don't know what the story is about, but still there's something that feels like you recognize it. Then maybe it's from a different lifetime. Maybe it's something you've picked up from your parents. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying that sometimes when we are very young, we can pick up on energies around us. So even if your parents haven't spoken about something, you can still pick up the grief. You can still pick up this worry or something. Okay, so just only take this if it feels like it resonates, of course, right? But there is something about something old, possibly maybe dead, like maybe something, like in the Aries reading I talked about something distinct and extinct. So something particular that is not here anymore, or it feels like it's not there anymore. But that was the Aries energy. And how it came across was this idea that it's something old that wasn't there. And Aries was kind of trying to figure out what it is, and it's very particular. And they would like to have it back, right? They would like to have it back. Here it feels like it's there, but not there, you know, like it's maybe the same person. It may be the same body, you know. but they are not the same as they were once. So you may be dealing with like I feel a bit like an obligation here. An obligation about something. Like I can't just leave, right? That doesn't seem right. What if it was me here? That feeling. Okay, so I get opening heart here. In the center, it's always, the center cards are always important. It tells us something about the reading. So it says here, opening heart, deep connections and water blessings. So a deep connection, watery. So this is emotional. It's a heart connection and emotional. Yeah, that's what I feel like. There is something about the heart here. Like again, you can do very physical things around a person, but then there's the heart connection, and the heart connection you can only have with that particular person. It's very special, right? But then it feels like it's not, vibrant anymore, or again, like a twin that has been injured, and then it's like but you still have heart connection with them. Like that connection is very deep. It cannot just be like left behind. You cannot go and find someone else who can be that. It could be the sense of, if you believe in twin flames, that one of these twins are in trouble somehow, or has been injured, or is like the batteries are low in some sense. But there's this heart connection and I'm vibing with it somehow, right? And I can't just leave, right? Because the connection is so strong here. It says here, opening heart. Like maybe there is some kind of connection that you are in the process of opening your heart towards, or you have opened a heart. Like water blessings is emotional. Like this is an emotional connection that is very deep and very deep and very, I also feel prosperous. It's like the connection, the heart connection is, it's so giving. I feel like it's a very giving connection in that way. But there could be some physical things that are difficult, right? The water connection is beautiful, I think. There can be other circumstances that makes this more difficult. But you love them. Like it's like the love for this person is unrecognizable. It's such a beautiful reading, a beautiful connection. Like that could be a sense of like a psychic connection. Water here can be all these sensitive psychic senses of connection that just flows back and forth between you and someone else, that they love you, but they may be in a state where you can't seem to get like maybe the physical, like a physical connection is not there. Like, it feels a sense of like frozen or unmovable, paralyzed. But the heart connect, like there is still heart connection, right? But it feels like it's unmovable. It stays in a particular state. And maybe you would like that to change, right? Maybe you would like someone to engage or to be able to get out of their shell in some way. Now I get this reference to this film again, where this doctor is working with catatonic patients. It's like, there's something in there. So it doesn't have to be like that. This can just be, someone who is very much in their ego. Like they live from a very egoic state, and you can have access to the heart in there. But it's there. Or like someone who is dealing with a person that has narcissistic traits. It's like they are trapped in their ego. So they are doing things from this perspective, and it's like there's this shell around them, and you can't seem to like have access. It's there, right? But you can't seem to, like they're not moving. They stay the same, right? They stay crippled, or they stay, in a non-flexible form. And you are the one that is, like, you have the open heart here. You can feel them, right? You know it's them. It's in there, but they seem to uphold this shell. Or, like as I said with an addict, like they may still drink. And as long as they do that, or they may still be a drug addict, and as long as they do that, the heart that you know them for, like the one you know them for, before this shell came, before this happened, that there's a different heart in there. At that time, you were vibrantly like vibing with each other, right? But then something happened, and this shell is like you can't seem to get access to what was. So now you need to just, like, out of obligation, maybe you feel like I have to stay here, because maybe sometimes, like if someone has dementia here, there can be these 5 minutes. Like the 5 minutes is worth everything, because in those 5 minutes they recognize me, right? Then we can have this connection, but then they withdraw into their shell again, and I can't have access, and then I stay circling here until they show me a little bit more, until the next 5 minutes come. So someone is staying for the 5 minutes, something like that. My heart is open. I know that you are there, right? I know you are there, but I don't know when you appear. Now I get a reference to like the film, it's a series on Netflix, what is it called? Tidelands, where all these Tidelanders, they're standing at the beach, and they are waiting for their mothers to appear in the ocean. They are sirens. The mothers are sirens. So they are women of the water, right? They are like mermaids. And they are waiting there by the shore, hoping to see them, that they will, show themselves in the water. But you don't know when. You never know when. You never know when they will come. And they, most of them have been standing there staring out on the water like for years, right? You don't know when they are coming. You have no idea when they will show up. And they know, like, they are children of the sirens. They have been left on the beach, and their mothers were swimming off again. So here it feels like someone standing there waiting for them to come back, waiting for them to return, like waiting for something to come out of its shell. Because like a dementia person, like they can, most of the time they don't recognize you. Most of the time they don't know who you are. But then there can be these 2 minutes where, oh, now they see you, they recognize you are their daughter or their mother or their sister or something, or their best friend, the greatest love in their life. And you come there every day. Now I have a reference to another film with this woman who is in this care facility, and she does have dementia. And every day her husband comes and he reads this love story for her, of how they met, right? How they met each other. And he's reading this love story in the hope that maybe she remembers. Because every day he comes in, she doesn't remember him. Like to her, he is a stranger. And then like the nurses, they present him like this. Oh, but this is Bob. He's here to read a story for you today, right? And she just sits there. Okay, someone is here to read a story for me. And then she sits there, and then along the way, when they go through the love story, it's like sometimes, just sometimes, she realizes that the story is about her. And the story is about him. And for a brief moment, she recognizes him. And he is so happy in that moment, right? Where he can hug her, where he can dance with her, where he can look her in the eyes and hold her hand and kiss her. But then she leaves, then it's like it disappears again. And she will throw him away, and just like, who are you? Like, leave me, and you don't touch me, things like that. But he is circling here for those 5 minutes. That's the reason why he's there. In addiction terms, this is like intermittent reinforcement. If you know something about this, this is why people can become obsessed or addicted to something. It's because you never know when it comes. It's like the lottery win. Like you have to keep trying because you never know when it comes, right? But when it comes, it has such tremendous satisfaction feeling to it. But you never know, and you are utterly dependent on this. Like your effort here doesn't change anything. It's this one who has the control. This one is the one that, or control, you could say, this is the one that has to open before something can become this extraordinary experience. As long as this stays in a shell, as long as this stays closed off, as long as this is, you could say, let's say this is someone who has decided not to communicate. That this is someone who has blocked your number. You can't have access to them. Like they have denied everything. They don't open the door. They don't answer the mails or your letters. They have blocked your number. As long as they are like this, you can't have access to them, right? Unless they open. When they open, you can for a minute. If they close again, you cannot. You can do everything you can around. You can circle around them here. But if they have decided to close off their heart and say no, if they have been injured in some way, as I said with a narcissist, which is usually an inflicted wound, if they have a narcissistic wound, you can't get to them, no matter what you try. And maybe just for a minute they show just this little bit of access, and then they close off again. And you will keep circling here because you are waiting for that slight little moment here. This could be what she is doing here, like being in this, and this is like a trauma bond. It's an addiction. It's this, like, because when it comes, like when from having absolutely nothing here to suddenly having like total beautiful connection with memory and everything, it's all there. All the memories, all the beautiful feelings, the beautiful connection, the melding together with this. This is what you live for. This is the perfect, beautiful connection. But then they retrieve into the shell again, and they push you away, they push you back. They push you out again, and then they stay in the shell. Right? It's that feeling that I have, that you can keep circling here. Or as the Tidelands did, they were waiting at the beach, hoping that eventually the sirens were showing themselves. The mothers that they were longing to connect with. It's a deep connection. It's a watery connection. Like I feel like it could be a mother, like a motherly connection, a mother character, a motherly connection. It's a very strong heart bond with something or someone, and it's like you can't not seem to be drawn to it in some way, or you feel obligated in some way to interact with something here. So down here I have the Queen of Gabriel, passionate, charming, brilliant, independent. You can do anything right now, go after what you want, the ability to attract helpful people. And then we have the Goddess of the Moon on the top here. This feels exactly what I talked about. It's this feeling of like once there was a Queen of Gabriel here, a passionate, a charming, a brilliant, independent, beautiful. You can do anything right now, go after what you want, the ability to attract everything. This is a very go-getter energy. It's a very like driven, it has passion, it's very feisty, it's very vibrant, it's fire energy here. So maybe Sagittarius here, fire energy, very driven, very forward moving, very active, very adventurous perhaps here. And then up here we have the Goddess of the Moon. The Goddess of the Moon can be secretive, it can be, moon can be, you know, from the sun here to the moon. So from warmth to the cold nights. So like a shift of, again, the roots here. The roots can talk about where you come from. You come from something vibrant. You come from something, or they do, like they did come from something vibrant. They were like like a passionate fire you had together. Like they could be this queen here, right? They are the queen of fire here can be also like the what is that called? The home fire, like the fire that is in the home. What is that called? The ancestry fire, right? That this is the roots, that there is some kind of fire and some kind of passion around something very, very root-like. Like your root burns for something particular, Gemini. It's like you are, and they are this reminder, right? They are this, because again, I feel there's this obligation to save this, or to help it, or to heal it, or something, to be there for it. It's like you have to nurture it, or keep it, or save it, or something. You can't leave it behind, right? And when it opens, or if it opens, you want to be there to connect with it. Like that is how it's like you are living and breathing for these 5 minutes, for this the possibility of this is so magnificent for you. Like it's so again, for the Tidelanders, who are half humans and half sirens, it's like, yeah, they are on land, yes, they can live with all the necessities that humans deal with, but there is another part of them that has a different root. It's the sirens, it's the water, it's the story of the water. Who are they? Like what drives them? What is their secrets? What is it's like they long for some kind of connection to this other part of them, to this other part that holds some kind of information, some kind of knowledge, some kind of, it's like being cut in two, right? That you have some knowledge, yes, this is active in me, and then there's this dormant thing that I know nothing about, that I want to, it's like I want to awaken it, I want to play with it, I want to have this connection, I want to open these arms, I want to be this, I want to be able to embrace them, right? I want to be able to hold them. Why are they so closed off here? Why do they have this hard shell, right? Why can't I seem to have contact here? Because there's something, I know there's something to be found here. Like the roots here, this connection, it's so passionate, it's so beautiful. I know they have charm. I know they are brilliant. I know they are. And I know that I want to engage with this. Again, like moth to a flame. But then I showed you these, it's like, yeah, actually, it's like, I showed you this card where you saw these different colored, you could say, party lamps. And then the moth that was, it was, like attached to the outside of the lamp. Like if we took the lamp away, there would be this light ball inside, and they could have direct contact with the light ball. But it's like the paper lamp, this cover, like there's this cover over the flame. Like if there was some kind of cover here. That's actually what we have done with light balls, right? We like the vibrancy is inside, and then we've put this glass around it, like a protective glass, right? Because we're not supposed to touch it would be too much to touch the flame here. So we have put this glass over the light ball so that we can touch it and we can screw it in without ruining the item that actually makes the light happen in the light ball, right? So there's this glass cover, and in the card we saw it as these colored paper lamps covers, right? And then the light ball is within here, and that's what I feel like. It's like that the light is there, but you are only touching the cover or the glass. Like you can't seem to like get in there, right? It's like you are separated from the original something here, the original flame, or it's like you only get a cover of it. It's only a cover. You can only engage with the paper color outside, the color, the paper lamp cover. It's the only thing you can glue yourself onto that. But it seems like you can't get past it. You can't get through it and pass it into the real flame. And that's what I feel like here. It's like something is crippled, frozen, catatonic, in a shell, covered. It's like it's covered with a shell of some kind, and inside is the pearl, right? And you know the pearl is there, but you can't seem to. You stand here, you're right beside it, you're engaging with it, but it's like you can't seem to. Again, the water is the cover, but the siren is in the water, right? It's like that's what I feel like. You know it's there. You know you come from it. You're part of it. Again, it's like a twin thing. It's like you are me and I'm you, but it's like I can't seem to get access to your fire, right? I can't seem to get access to the fire. I know it's there, but it's like it's crippled or it's locked in some kind of prison or something. Maybe deliberately, like maybe this is a person that is blocking you, like they don't want to have access to you. And you would like to, be able to talk to them or contact them or somehow have access. But as long as they stay locked here, you can keep circling here. But they won't open, right? We could say that if we're talking about twin flames here, it would be that this is the chaser and this is the runner, right? That they keep running here and you keep chasing, right? Maybe you would want them to open here because you have opened your heart. You want to open the heart, right? The opening of hearts here is what you're seeking, but it seems like they are. You know it's there. You know the passion is there. You know that there's something in there, but it seems like it's locked in somehow. And that's what you feel. You feel the separation, right? Again, you look at this. It's like she's touching the outside here, but she would like to be able to touch the inside. This is what she's trying to do. She's trying to get access to the inside here. Like if her hands could like get through the cover here, she would like to get in here. She would like to get in here and have access to the real flame, like the real one here. Not just, dealing with the moon here. The moon, if someone is showing you only moon can be a wound, right? So it's like being like dealing with someone who only shows you. It's like you can only interact with the wound. So if this is someone who has a narcissistic wound, you're only able to interact with their wound, it seems, or their ego protection, right? You can't have access to the pearl inside. They're protecting themselves here. You are only interacting with the wound or the protective shield that they have. And you're trying, there's more, right? And you wanna have access here, but they are saying no here, right? They're saying no. Why are they not saying no? Or why do they keep saying no? And why do they stay like this, right? That's maybe what you're thinking. Like you want to be the one that can break through. Like you want to be able to break through the shield to be able to have access to the real one. Because they're like you, right? They know something here, or they are like you. They have this other knowledge. You would like them to come here and show themselves, not just dealing with the water, the shield, the mask, the protection. The sirens, you could say, are they protected in the water? Yes, they are. They are mermaids. They can't live on land. The water is a tool, you could say, for them. They need, like the water is a sense of barrier that they can hide in. The sirens can hide in the deep water, and you can't find them. You can swim, right, and you can't find them because they keep running, or they keep moving. If they don't want to interact with you, they can keep moving and you can keep chasing, right? They have the power. It's in their power. If you keep engaging, knocking on their door here, and they don't want to have anything to do with you, you can keep knocking and nothing happens. And if you believe that, if that's your mindset, but I keep knocking and nothing happens, then this is what you are repeating. You need to think that you are knocking on the door and they are actually opening. That the open door is already here, right? The open door is already here. That the door has already opened. Then you can, do you get my point? When you keep thinking, they are so closed off, I cannot have access. No matter how much I'm knocking, the door seems, it's always closed. If you believe that, if this is what you're thinking, and you have to break through, like you have to make an invasion to get in, first of all, you would be like invading someone's privacy. If you don't want to do that, then think the other thing. Think that, no, when I knock, they are opening. But then also have patience, because if this is what you are trying to manifest, that they are here with you already, you are already together again. You have to be aligned with that. They have to be aligned with that. And you have to let the universe prepare this to be able, like you have to give them time over here. If they don't want to open to you, don't chase them. Just sit here and believe that the door is already opening. The more you keep like crushing here or wanting to invade their privacy, the more they close down, the more they leave, the more they lie. Like the more they will lie to you, the more they will run from you, the more they will, because nobody likes to be invaded like that. It's not a loving thing to do either. So you can keep, like standing here, and you can invite them, right? You can invite them to come along, but you can't dictate the water to disappear and let them show themselves here. You can't dictate the water. You can't dictate the shell to move. You can try to crush the shell. But is that loving? Like, is that a loving thing to do? Is that a caring, loving, compassionate thing to do for someone who is in a shell? They are in a shell for a reason. They are protecting themselves for a reason, if this is like a protective shell. They are protecting themselves for a reason. They're not ready to come out. They're not ready to embrace you. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe there's something about your style here that is too invasive. Especially if you're trying to force yourself in here through the door, Like maybe that's the reason why it's closed off, or there's blocked communication or something. If you try to be invasive and you want to dictate, like that you keep knocking here and they don't want to open, and you keep knocking here, obsessively knocking, you know, that becomes a nuisance. Like that becomes like really, really annoying. It becomes like they are a lunatic out there. Of course I don't want to open. Of course I don't want to let them in. Like it's too stalkerish, it's too much. I need to be able to open the door peacefully without them invading me, right? Like I want to be able to breathe and say no and close my door again without being attacked here. So there's something about willpowers here, and there's something about trust, and there's something about like tolerance for each other's energy or something like that here. There has to be a certain acceptance, like they will open naturally if you are also more natural. They will open if they can trust. So if you are open and trusting and relaxed, they can be open and trusting and relaxed. Do you get my point? It's like it can become so tied up in some way, and it's not kind, it's not caring, it's not loving. It's a trauma bond then. And someone, the one who is closed off here, because they can feel that you're circling here like a shark, right? That you're circling like a shark. They will not open. They will keep in hiding. They will not show themselves as long as you circle the field here, right? Like a shark. You see? That's what I feel like is here. So there can be something about temperament, controlling your fire or controlling your will, something about not domineering a situation. Like if this is someone you truly want to bond with again, or you truly want to have connection with, it should be more equal. It should be more it should be more equal. It should be more and it's like someone is trying to see if they can have access here through maybe a wound. Like the moon can be a wounding. It can be a secret. It can be something hidden, something forgotten, something old maybe, something painful. So it's like someone would like to have access through the pain here. Maybe they can feel through the pain. Like maybe they can feel through the pain. And that is maybe the reason why you keep knocking, but it's still not okay to try to invade someone. Like maybe you have a message, yeah, great. But if they don't want to hear that message, or they're not ready to hear it, or they don't trust it, then you can keep knocking here and circling. And they can feel it and they don't want to hear it, or they don't want to be part of it, or they cannot be part of it. It's simply not possible for them. Then you can keep circling here, and it won't help anything. Maybe you need to give them room, like to retrieve from this and let them breathe here and figure out what they want. Right? That's what I feel like I have here. But there is also again this feeling like I'm reaching out to you. Could you, like I'm opening my heart, I'm reaching out to you. Could you reach out to me? Right? But if someone is still in a shell and they're not coming forward, it's because either they can't. Again, those Tideland, the Tideland people, in the Tideland films, they are hybrids. They are half sirens and half humans. They live on land. The sirens cannot, they can show themselves, but they can't come and live on land. They cannot, they are not like their DNA, they are half fish. Like they are not made to live on land. They are not a hybrid like the Tidelands. They are a mermaid. It's a siren. They belong in the water. It's their, that is their environment. Where the Tidelanders, they live on land. They can also, they benefit and need water. It's very crucial for them to have water nearby. But they live on land primarily. They can live both places. But the sirens can only live in the water. So they have to stay in that environment. You could say they are locked or imprisoned by that environment, or they are limited by it. They cannot live on land like you, perhaps. They cannot be like you. They are limited to their environment. Do you get my point? It's like they are another species. And I've said that before with the zodiacs. I believe that every person is their own universe. And inside that universe, certain rules apply, certain values apply, certain characteristics apply, certain traits apply, certain laws apply. And when you meet up with another person, they have a different universe. Inside that universe, there are different values, different rules, different food, you could say. Different, like what nurtures you and what you need may not be the same as what someone else needs. Like their rule setting, their needs, their primal needs, their sense of safety is different and governed by something maybe different than yours. So yeah, you could have the feeling that this is my twin, but you could still be quite different. Yeah, you could have the feeling you have met this person that you would like to engage with, but their universe doesn't seem to want to engage with yours. And as long as this is like this, you can't just force yourself on them. Like it won't help. They will keep reinforcing their fences or their castle here. They won't open because their universe may be different than yours. Your universes are not aligned. Your values, the drive you have, your ambition, your roots are maybe different. Just because we like someone doesn't mean that we can have it or that it naturally opens to us. Maybe it will naturally open if you back off a bit and you become more relaxed. Again, this is an open heart. It's an invitation. You stretch out your ask. You're inviting, right? But still, they may not respond. And because they don't want to. And maybe you can keep inviting. You can keep inviting all the time. They may stay in the shell if they don't want to engage with you. If they don't want to change values. Let's say this is a grudge between you. That something has happened where you're trying to have forgiveness and connection and they hold up the grudge. They keep you suffering, you could say, or they keep you in a state where you can't seem to ever find forgiveness. You cannot have forgiveness from them. So you have to find that within yourself. Or somehow accept that if they want to stay locked up and keep the grudge up forever, it's on their part. Like you may have done everything you could around them and they still stay like this. Then you have done everything you can. Now you may need to retrieve and let them breathe and see what you've actually done here. And then it's up to them whether they want to take your hand here or not, right? This is like an invitation, or, you know, I'm reaching out to you. This could be the feeling you reach out to someone. You're reaching out to someone, but they may not hear you, or they may not take your hand. They may not want to. And it could be because they're dealing with something, they are not able to, they don't feel, maybe they are, you know, locked or limited by, maybe they're in another marriage, you know, or they are in some other kind of obligation and they can't move right now. It doesn't mean that it's impossible. It doesn't mean that it's, I just want to say that maybe you shouldn't wait for it. Like if it wants to come back, if it wants to reach out, it definitely is not helping that you're circling it like a shark, right? It won't help. Like maybe you should withdraw your energy and just trust that it's going to open at some point, or it's going to evolve, or it's going to be ready at some point, right? Yeah. I think that like they have a lot of potential here. They have a lot of potential. There is a lot of potential in this connection, but again, they can be in a position where they are not like you, perhaps. As the siren, they could have similar traits. Or again, as I've talked about that a lot on my channel, this feeling of being like that you could be a hybrid. That some out there I feel like are hybrids. It's like they are a mix of two races, white and black maybe, or you are a mix of different religions. So you know, like yeah, you can go to one church and here you are at home, and people embrace you. But if you try to go to another church, you feel conflicted because it's like you have both, right? You should be able to have solace both places. But it's like there's one that is more than the other, right? Or one where you don't have the storyline. The Tidelands crave like the connection to the sirens. Because it's in their blood, it's part of their DNA, right? It's like they are made out of this. It's their mothers. But they can't have connection with them. Because they're in the water and they're quite shy. They don't engage with people, right? They mate with the human men sailors. But they never go on land, right? They can't live on land. They are not safe there. They hide or they live in the water. It's their home environment. It's their homeland, you could say. And you could be standing here feeling conflicted but what is my homeland? Because I'm somehow this mix, or I feel so conflicted. I'm a human, but then it's like I'm not. There's something that, or I'm drawn to something, but it's closed off. It's like I can't have access to it, right? That's what I feel like. And then still feeling this obligation that I should still honor this, though I don't know what it is exactly. I should still be attached in some way. It's the roots, right? It's like having these strong, like maybe passionate, very passionate roots about something, but then still no, it's like I know that I'm of Indian origin, let's say that. I know that far away back in my history line or bloodline, I know that I have Indian roots in me. But then when I go there, they won't let me in, right? Then when I try to look it up, then when I try to call them, then when I try to, it's like I'm not, then I don't belong, right? It's like then I'm this outsider that tries to get in. I'm a hybrid. It's like I can only get so far. I can only participate in a little bit of the ceremonies, but then there are ceremonies only for the true ones, you know, only for the true ones. And somehow I'm not that one. There are things that the sirens do in the water that, yeah, even though the tidelands, they can breathe underwater, like they will never drown underwater. So they can dive into the water, and yeah, they could swim with the sirens, but they never do. They can't find them. And if they were finding them, they would leave, because the sirens feel that the tideland children are not, it's like they are not, it's like they don't belong. It's like being they are my mother. The sirens are the mothers of the tidelands, but because the tidelanders are not sirens and like full blood sirens, they cannot be with them, right? The sirens have to give them up. At the tidelanders, it's such a big wound, right? It's such a wound that they can't be with their mothers. Why can't they just, maybe not, you know, always be with them, but why can't they just, you know, once a week that we can meet up? Why can't we just, can we make a deal that once a week you show yourself here and we can swim together? Why can't we just once a week, you know, have this little time together? Why is it that you have to like swim away all the time? Why won't you stay, right? Why won't you stay? And again, I have this feeling of this dementia thing that it's like he was, from this film, like her husband was reading every single day. He came to the nursing home and where she was living, and he came every single day reading this love story for her, for this glimpse, like this tiny little glimpse of who she is or who she was to him. And he loved her. Like every day he was reaching out to her and hoping that he could have just these 5 minutes. Why can't I just seem to reach through this shell? Right? That this shell is so it feels a little bit like someone is trying to reach through this shell, right? Of someone, that someone has this, like this understanding, or this shell that is protecting them, or that is keeping them in a certain state. And why is it not possible to go through that? Why can't it be broken? It's like there are certain laws, right? That the siren world has a certain law to it. It's a specific universe. So even though you are a child of the sirens, you are not full bred, or you are not a original. You are a mix. And because of that, they leave you at the shore to grow up on land. You can never be a full member of the clan or something like that. Does that make sense? It's something like that I have here. So you can only have moments, you can only have glimpses, you can only have, like you can only be part of certain rituals or certain dinners or certain, but you cannot be like a fully accepted, you can never be fully accepted. It's like being a refugee, right? That is trying to, you have entered the new country, but because you have your roots somewhere else, you can never ever be a full bred, a fully bred, I don't know, let's say Indian, because your mother had a child with an outlander or another species, right? And because of that, you can never belong to us. You can never belong. It's like the doors are closed. The territory is closed, right? You can never get in here fully, right? You can only like engage with the shell or the mask or the, as I said, with the light bulb, the glass or the paper lamp. Like you can only engage with the cover in some sense. You can never really get to the root of something, to like the real flame here. You can never seem to have that unless this is opening its arms, or unless this changes its ways, unless this allows for something new. As I said with my cousin, who is this Catholic priest, that when you engage, you can only you can never truly engage with. You will always end up with, or it's the same like having an audience with the Pope of the Catholic Church. Like you cannot just, like outsiders cannot just have an audience with the Pope, like the Pope, the most sacred, the most innermost sacred. You can't. No, you have to. First of all, you can become a priest, a Catholic priest. Then you can work in the Vatican as a Catholic priest. Maybe you can see the Pope. Maybe you could even have an audience with him. But you cannot, as an outsider, just go inside the Vatican and expect to talk to the Pope. You can talk with many other priests, cardinals and whatever. But the Pope is the most holy, the most sacred, the most inner, most treasured, member of the Catholic Church. You cannot, as an outsider, just go in there. No, you have to be like a full-bred member of the church, you could say. You have to be a priest. You have to be devoted to this particular order or this dogma or this, you can't be both. You can't be a bit outside and then also inside. Do you get my point? It's that there's something here that talks about either you completely identify and become this universe, or you stay outside. You have to be a full-bred siren to be in the water with them here. You cannot be half, right? You cannot be divided in half. So it could also be that maybe you are dealing with something here that wants you to be a full-bred member of this universe. Otherwise, you will not come in. It means that you have to leave everything that you stand for, everything you stand for, to become a full-bred member of whatever this is. So all the rules that apply in here must now become yours. Otherwise, you can have no access. It means that you lay down all your weapons, all your own beliefs. You have to become a member. Like, now I get this reference to, like, if you have to, like if there's a marriage inside or within a religious belief, certain churches, they hold a belief that this other person has to, let's say this one is Jewish and this one is not. You cannot marry unless you become Jewish. Then you can marry me. Not the other way around. Let's say this one is Buddhist. Not the other way around. This one is so fixed that they would say, I cannot change. I can never change. I am what I am. I am Jewish. If you want to be with me, you have to become Jewish as well. Then we can marry. But I cannot become Buddhist. I will never leave this. I cannot leave this. It's not a possibility. I can never leave this. You have to. You have to. This one outside, this one that circles here, has to give up everything. It has to adapt. It has to now take on new dogmas, new stories, new narratives. This one stays solid. It stays the same. If you wanna connect with me, this one has to come first of all. I'm not moving. I stay here. You have to come, and you have to adapt to whatever this is. Totally and utterly adapt to it. Otherwise, you can have no access. So let's say this is a grudge between two friends. This one holds on to the grudge. For you to have access, you have to embrace their side of the story. That you are the bad one. That you are the one who is supposed to apologize. That they have every right to be angry with you, and they have every right to hate you. So if you somehow should be able to connect, you have to hate yourself too. Because that's what they are saying. So do you see what they are asking? Like this, that's what I feel like. Either you will always be this half-breed and you will never have access to this other. Right? Or even though you are opening up your hand here, you're stretching it out to somehow have connection. If they don't want to, they stay closed and you can do nothing about it. You can stay, engaged. You can stay engaged, but you will never know if they will open. You will never know if it's going to be now or ever. You will never know if they will ever embrace you. If they will ever, because again, their universe can be so different than yours and dictated by other laws that it's not possible that they will ever be able to accept someone like you. Let's say you are a very free thinker here. If you are a very free thinker, maybe they are very closed. They are very strict in their ways. You can't have access then, right? You will never have access. They will maybe open your doors if you limit. Again, as I said, if you are a very free thinker, you limit your way of thinking to certain ways that are like theirs, then you may be able to have access. Again, you dim yours to become aligned with theirs, then maybe you can have access. So, and this is what I feel like, that you are dealing with something that is dimming your light, or it's asking you to dim it, or become smaller or less or something. But you may know that they are actually like you. You would want them to open, to become like you, right? Because then you can be this together. And they're asking you to become this like them. Only then you can be together. It's fixed, it's immovable, it's closed off, it won't change, it's unchangeable. So it wants you to change. You are very vibrant, maybe very adaptable and very flexible, and you are mutable sign. So you are quite able to adapt. This is very fixed, right? If you're dealing with a fixed sign here, Sagittarius, I'm not sure it's fixed. Aries is fixed. No, sorry, Aries is cardinal. Leo is fixed. Taurus is fixed. Scorpio is fixed. Aquarius is fixed. So we have, like from the earth signs, we have Taurus. From the water signs, we have Scorpio. From the fire signs, we have Leo. And from the air signs, we have Aquarius. So whatever you could be dealing with here can be very fixed. It wants you, being the mutable one, to align with them. Then you can talk, or then it may open, right? Because now you're more like they can invite you in now. You become part of the tribe if you adapt totally to this form. But how does it feel for you, Gemini? Maybe you don't like that, right? Maybe you feel like some of your vibrancy and some of your adaptability and curiousness and everything, it's going to be dimmed. It's dying. So again, yeah, you could invite here, right? But what is it you are inviting exactly? Again, they could be inviting you, but they only allow you in if. Again, it's the same the other way around. If the Tidelanders would stay on ground and they are putting out a hand and saying, "Come, Mom, come," the sirens would be out here knowing that they cannot come. Like they can never enter this realm because they cannot live outside the water. So you can stretch out any invitation and say, "Come along, come along." They will never be able to come because they live in the water. They are dependent on the water. They can't walk here. They have no feet and legs. They live here. They belong here. They can never be a part of this community, even if they wanted to. It's too far away. It's too misaligned, right? So if you want to be a mermaid, a siren here, well, maybe you have to change your legs into a fishtail then. You have to manifest a fishtail. Then you can be part of this community perhaps. But how do we do that? We may not exactly be able to do that. As well as they may not be able to manifest legs. Then we would have this fairy tale of the mermaid, the little mermaid, who goes through such tremendous trouble and devastating change to have feet so that she can walk on land. And she is pursuing this prince. But the prince only liked her for her singing. Like he never wanted her to go on land. He never wanted to be her boyfriend and marry her. He loved her beautiful singing, but she gave that singing up when she went through the change and got the legs. So she could be wandering here, right? She could be wandering here with her legs now, wanting to engage with that beautiful prince. She has lost her voice. She gave that up in the change. So what is she left with? She's wandering the earth looking for this prince. He is not recognizing her because she's not singing anymore. And the singing was what he was attracted to. The singing was what he loved. He never wanted her to change. She wanted to be with him. So she wanted to climb out of the water and be a human, walking here with her feet here and legs. But she, in that process, she gave up her voice, and the voice was what he was attracted to. Now, he won't even recognize her. He chose another wife. He got married with someone else. So she was now in this limbo. She couldn't go back to the water and be a mermaid again, and she couldn't have her big love. She couldn't have her big love. So that could also be what this feels like, being in this limbo between, like, again, the one you love you can't have access to, and you can go back also. Like the little mermaid, she gave up her fishtail and her voice, and she did change into a human and had legs. So she's wandering now here on the beach, right? She's wandering on the beach, hoping that she could be able to get back into the sea. But this is closed off now. She can't go back. And if she tries to go and find her prince, he won't recognize her because she's not singing. She has no song. He cannot recognize her. And even if she tells him, but it's me, like I'm the mermaid in the water, he can't see it. He doesn't trust her. And he's not following. Do you get my point? It's like being in this in-between where I can't have my prince. And then at the same time, I can't go back to the water. So I'm in this in-between. I'm this hybrid of being the siren or the mermaid and the human. I have somehow ended up being in between, and none of them want me. Right? None, like the humans don't want me, the sirens don't want me back. So I'm in this in between here, looking for my mate, right? But I can't seem to have access. The one I'm looking for here doesn't want to let me in. Does that make sense? It's something like that. That is a feeling like that. So if someone is in that that feeling of limbo or void or dilemma. Like it's like you're in a world that is not the human world. It's also not the siren world or even the fire world here. It's not there. You are in between it. You have ancestry on both sides or something like that. But it just feels like when you, like if you must become totally human, you are unhappy about the water siren side. And if you should become a siren again, a mermaid again, you would be unhappy about the human side of you. So you're walking this path in the middle where you are both. And you can become attracted to a human here and try to have access, and they will not let you have access. And then you can try to have access in the other realm, another realm. But there you also feel off. You will also not be allowed in here. Do you get my point of like being split, torn between two elements maybe? That you are a different, like it's almost like, I just said it, like the fixed sign of earth is Taurus, the fixed sign of water is Scorpio, the fixed sign of fire is Leo, and the fixed sign of air is Aquarius. But here it feels like you are two together. Let's say you are you're not only human like earth, you're also not only water. It's like you are water earth. You know, like you're water earth, or you are air water, or you are, it's like you have an energy field that is not it's not one, right? Or as we normally say with the horoscope, that we say that, well, but your sun sign is the one that most know. And I'm reading for Gemini here, so this would be your sun sign. But let's say your sun sign is not Gemini. Your sun sign is Gemini, so air, water. So you don't have a sun sign that is only air, it's also water. Like it's split, or it contains more than, or as I said here, sun and moon, right? It's like you have both of them at the same time, or your sun sign and your moon sign is equally present in you. So even though you are Gemini, sun sign, look at your moon sign also, and maybe you will find that these two are colliding, or these two have some, maybe you feel like you are not just one, you are also your moon sign, that your moon sign talks equally as active in you. And if you try to dim it down, you get unhappy. And that can also be why, let's say you find you have had partners in this life. So maybe you have found, let's say a Sagittarius, which is your opposite. That would be likely that you have found someone with some of that energy in it. Or a Gemini maybe, representing this other side of you. So let's say you've had a partner. Yes, it's correct that you are inclined to like a lot of it. But then there is this other part of you calling for the other side. Do you get my point? It's like you can't be absolutely happy here. It's like then eventually it's like you're drawn back to this other side of you. So you can be happy here for some time, and then it's like you're drawn back. It's like you are shifting between maybe sun and moon energy. That you are a mix of your sun and moon energy. You cannot be only, or the one is not more than the other. Does that make sense? Like both of them have equal power in you, or they are equally as. So you should look up your moon sign also, I feel like, Gemini here. And maybe you need to find someone who is like that too, right? Someone who is split. It's a bit like The Little Mermaid. Like that story, actually, H.C. Andersen story, is actually not with a happy ending, because she's not getting her prince. She doesn't get her prince. She is getting denied. Like she goes through all this change to get her earthly legs. But in that process, she has to give up her beautiful singing voice. Because she does that, she is now pursuing on land her prince. But when he sees her and she cannot sing anymore, he's not interested in her anymore. So now she stands here. She's being like rejected, even though she made this change to fit in, even though she made the change to, like she adapted to the earthly realm. She adapted to the human realm, but she got refused because she can no longer sing. And that the singing part was what he loved about her. The singing part was why he stood on the balcony every night and listened to her singing, right? That is the thing that he found beautiful and unique about her. He never asked her to change. He never asked her to become something else. He never asked her to adapt. He never asked her to become human. He liked her just the way, and loved her, and appreciated her, and adored her just the way she was. But she did it anyway. Like she needed to be closer to him. She needed to be on land. She thought that if she could be human, he would love her and embrace her and live with her and marry her and everything. And they would live happy ever after. But he actually rejected her. He couldn't see that she was the mermaid. He couldn't see her for what she truly was, because she had changed. Right? She has undergone some kind of change. And that change did not make her appealing to him. Like he didn't like that change. He would have preferred her as she was. And then I get this question, because the sirens, I have this question in my head. Why is it that they feel like they have to mate with those sailors out there, the human sailors? Is it because there are no male sirens? We know that there are mermaids, but are there mermen? Because if there were mermen, they could breed with them, couldn't they? But what if there are no men to the sirens? What if there are no siren men or males? What if they are a species that can only breed with another? Like they have no opposite like what if this is the only way? that they can have children? What if it's the only way to breed? Okay, I don't know. But do you get my point? It's something like that there is, it's like there is a universe or a being, a creature, something you're trying to maybe to talk to here. But you have to be perfect here. You have to be a perfect fit, otherwise you can't access. You have to be perfectly aligned with it, otherwise you can't access. So if you, let's say you are a mix between two races, how can you be either Caucasian or black if you are a mix? Like you can't take the Caucasian out of you. You can also not take the Afro-American or the Afro part out of you, right? If you are this, if you are this, you will be a mix. It's like, let's say you have if you look at your parents, let's say you have a very beautiful, caring mother and you have an alcoholic father, but you grew up with both of them. It's like both were there, you were influenced by both of them. When you grow up, you can't take the alcoholic father imprint out of you and only keep one. Like you will always have a mix of both. Of course, you can deal with the trauma, or you can deal with the again, a beautiful, caring, loving mother can become an enabler because she doesn't know how to fix the alcoholism. She can become an enabler, but still be a caring mother to you, right? So you could have been growing up with some kind of some mixed signals. And it's like you can't necessarily take that out of you. It's still in there. But yeah, you are a mix. You will always be a mix of something. Something that has different agendas or different tunes to it. It just feels like you could be dealing with something maybe outside of yourself that is this closed shell. And it just seems like it won't open unless you become it almost. Like you have to become totally aligned with it. You can't not just circle it. You have to become it. Like totally become it. Then it opens. And I say that also with the money and the poverty thing. Like if you come in with poverty and you want to be a billionaire, this is not opening unless you are on the same wavelength. Like you have to believe that you are a millionaire, that you are abundant, that you have such beauty in your life. Then it opens. You see, it's something like that. Can I have an advice on this situation? I feel like it's, again, this breaching here. When this is in the crown position, it can indicate that you are trying to become like a high priestess here, right? You're trying to grow certain qualities about you that can breach in, that can somehow breach through here. Breach through an ego. That you can reach beyond, right? That you can tap, like if even when the cover is there, that you are the one that can breach it, right? Like let's say you're the one that can breach through a narcissistic persona cover. What if you could breach through that and get to the real heart in there? Like that would be what this one could be occupied with, trying to figure out how to like uncover something. The uncovering or the unmasking, or the breach of the protective field or something, right? How can you do that? But I don't know if necessarily what you're doing is a good thing. Normally, people uphold a mask or a cover for a reason. They're protecting themselves, or it makes sense to them. Like it's necessary for them to have this. So as I said with the sirens, you can't take the water away. Like the sirens wants the water to be there because it keeps them safe. They need the water. So you cannot just suck all the water away and let them and see them lying there like fish, you know. That's not the way. Like it's we have to accept that people have certain boundaries, perhaps, or certain protective fields. You can get closer, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily, because you say that you want the best, because you say you want to help them, because you say you're only there to like really just want everything in that you are there with the best intentions. It doesn't mean that they want to open, and it also doesn't mean that they trust you, right? So even though you want to come in here with, maybe you want to heal something here, but it's not, maybe it's not possible to heal it. Like maybe the universes are so different that you can't seem to heal it, or that the more you obsess about it, the more they close down, the more they crunch here and cringe and close down. So my recommendation is not to do that, like to give it space, to have patience, to think about something else also. Allow yourself to think about something else. Not obsess about it. Even though that you may feel like, yeah, but I can't have peace unless, I can't have inner peace unless I have done this. I can't have inner peace unless I don't feel okay unless, but then it's all up to them. Like all the power is over there. And maybe you need to take some power back and say, okay, maybe it's not up to me. Like I have done everything I can. I can't do anything else. So now I take a step back and I let it be up to them now. Either they will come to me and we can talk about it, or they won't. And if they won't, as with the Catholic Church and the Pope, no, they will probably not change their ways within the next 300 years. The Pope, it will still be difficult to have an audience with him. You won't get in there just like that. It's heavily guarded. The Vatican is heavily guarded, right? It's a sovereign state within Italy. It's not part of Italy, or it's not Italy. It's the Vatican state. It's like a country within the country. That's how fixed it is. That's how closed off it is. That's how guarded it is. How it protects something very and it's not opening. It doesn't want to be part of Italy. It doesn't want to be seen as Italian per se. The Vatican state is not Italian. It's, you could say, I see it a bit like that the Vatican state doesn't want to have a nationality. It's just the Vatican state. It's not supposed to be more Italian than English or, Australian or Romanian. It's, you could say, I see it a bit like that the Vatican state doesn't want to have a nationality. It's just the Vatican state. It's not supposed to be more Italian than English or, Australian or Romanian. Or Romanian. Or Australian. Or Romanian. Or Romanian. what I feel like it's telling a story about, like more of an international state. It's an international state. Like the Catholic faith cannot be categorized to have a nation. Like it's international. It's or unnational. It's not. It can be limited to be called Italian, just because physically on Earth right now it's positioned in Rome, that it's in the borders of Italy. Like the Catholic faith has to do with God. It cannot be limited to like one country. I think that's one of the reasons why it is a separate state, and it reinforces being that. It's because it doesn't want to be only Italian. It wants to be all countries. Like it wants to be represented in all countries, no matter where you come from. If you believe in the Catholic dogma, if you want to belong to the Catholic Church, you should be able to. You should be able to. Therefore, the Vatican cannot be only Italian. It cannot be associated only with one nationality or language or something. It has to be outside of that. It has to have its own bubble, you could say. It has to exist outside of any nationality or any language or any or you could even see historical roots. Like Italy has historical roots, but it has nothing to do with the Vatican State. The Vatican State in itself and the Catholic Church has its own roots. It's like it's like one particular universe within another, and it's claiming its sovereignty, right? It keeps persisting on its sovereignty. It doesn't want to be just one. Like it doesn't want to be Italian. It cannot only be Italian, right? That is way too limited. It persists on being its own sovereign state because it cannot comply only with what is surrounding it. It's more than that, right? It's more than that. So we could also say that what you're dealing with here is persisting on its own sovereignty. It persists on its own sovereignty or integrity or individuality. This card here even says independent at the end here. That maybe someone is persisting on some kind of independency or and you're trying to maybe have codependency with something. Yeah, I have 5 of Wands reversed here. This tells me like stop fighting, right? Stop the fighting. Or stop trying to engage with something that doesn't want to engage with you. So if you're dealing with something that is highly independent, you can only, like, it won't give up any of its independency to have something with you. And maybe you want something codependent, like you want something to coexist, that both of you work together, but what you're dealing with doesn't want that. So why do you keep knocking, right? It's something like that. Yeah. That's what I feel like. Again, the Tidelanders, they can keep knocking on the door and reach out to the sirens. But the sirens, they have to stay in the water. And they don't want to change. Like they don't want to undergo some kind of change to become able to live on land. Where this one, if they could, they would grow the tail and swim in the water. But the other ones, the sirens, they don't want to do that the other way around. Like they stay sovereign. They stay independent. They stay how they are, or as I say, they stay international, they stay independent, they stay in, like they are not they are not co-dependent, they are not coexisting, they want to stay sovereign, I feel like. And only if you accept that, like only if you let them be this, you may be able to have contact, but not love contact, not marriage, not, something like that. Okay, can I have a card, an advice card on this? And for some reason I have this idea that this is a very old story, a very old trauma, or a very old situation. This could have been carried out in bloodlines. Like maybe you are not the only one who has circled around someone like this. Like maybe you have a parent like this and you saw your mother circling around them here. Maybe you have grandparents where this has been a thing also. So like almost like an inherited trauma or something like that. Do you see my point? Something like that. Okay. An advice card here on this situation for Gemini. And again, you can be either or. Maybe you're the one who keeps the independency and you know something is circling here around you, trying to have access to you. Or you have had both. Like maybe in some situation you are this one and something is circling that you don't want to engage with. And in other situations, you're the one who keeps trying to circle here around something and it won't open to you, right? Okay, an advice card. So I get 8 of Wands here. Eight of Wands usually talks about communication, like it can be back and forth communication, it can be highly passionate, very willful or very fiery. For some reason I feel like because this looks to me a little bit like a meteor shower rain here. But normally they would go down like this, like if and we have several of them circling Earth actually. These some meteor, what are they called? It's remnants, like yeah, it's like the tails of meteors. They are still circling the Earth. And Gemini, you have something called, what is they called it Gemini trides. Gemini. Yeah, there's something about and they can actually be seen, like from Earth. They can be seen during the during night times. Some areas around the at particular nights every year, you can see certain meteors shout, like it's like the tail of a meteor, that at some point a meteor was maybe it was hitting Earth and made some kind of disaster. But then the tail of the meteor, that consists of very small dust clouds, you could say, they are still surrounding Earth. And at particular nights, you can see them. Like you can see that they are like it looks a bit like this. Like it looks like in old times they were called fire snakes, because they look like this. Like they have a fiery front, and then there's this like a tail that kind of follows it, and you could see it in the sky, like fire tails of old impacts. And that's what I feel like this is. It's like what you're dealing with is the fire tails of old impact, of old wounds. This is like you are. It feels like you could be a descendant, like an ancestor that is still dealing with some of this. And I know there is one about Gemini. You can look it up. There are several, and they are seen in the sky at particular times during the year. And I believe there is one for Gemini that is particularly around your time of the year, where when at night time, when you look up at certain dates, you can see these fire snakes here that are old dust clouds from an earlier impact. An earlier impact on Earth, literally on Earth. And this is what you like, because normally like a meteor that is hitting Earth would go downwards, right? It would go down to the Earth. It would come from up here and go downwards. This goes upwards. So I feel like it's something you can witness in the sky. You can stand down here and you can look up and you can witness it. There's something maybe to be found in some kind of knowledge here that could enlighten you about these. They're called something about trites, like and there is one for Gemini as well, but I can't recall what it's called now. But there are several around the year that when you look to the sky at particular dates, you can see them as these fire snakes, like fire snakes that kind of just whistle through the night. That's how they come across today, because normally I would say this is communication. Normally back and forth communication, but this seems like it only goes one way. None of them go the other way, right? None of those, it only goes one way. So an advice could be that you communicate, that you want to communicate here. Or you look up this dust cloud tail here, and you learn something about what this impact was, when it was. Or again, this can only, as I see it here, it's like you can only do so much. Like you can reach out here, you can stretch out, And whether something comes back here to you and holds your hand, like there is no, like you can only do your thing. Like you can, normally I would say this is back and forth passionate communication, but I've just told you that it's like you can't have access. So I feel like this is only one way. You can keep sending like information, you can keep enforcing that you have an open invitation here. You can keep reinforcing that, right? It's the only thing you can do. You can keep sending these wishes also to the universe. You can keep manifesting, but then again, become aware of how tightly you hold on to this, because this is also Wands energy, and it like Wands energy it's about your willpower. It's about how much energy you force into something. Like if it becomes so, if you keep enforcing this every day, right? Or as I said, you're circling something here like a shark, right? You're circling it like a shark here. It can never truly figure out what it wants over here, because you are constantly there, like you are on its tail all the time, right? It never gets a quiet moment to think about this. It never gets a quiet moment to learn or to adjust itself or to think again. But if you walk away from it and there is totally silence here, sometimes, well, the energy can stay where it is, or maybe it can feel the absence of something. And we know that sometimes we say that, what is that called? That when there's absence, the heart grows fonder, right? So when there's absence, the heart can grow fonder. We just don't know it. Like, you don't know. Like, I feel, because this is an advice card, I feel like become aware of your, like, become aware or be careful with your constant, like, circling here, or your obsession of something. Be aware of how much energy you are putting into circling this and keep reinforcing something. Like maybe you should take it away. Like maybe you should become aware of it, right? Become aware, because the Eight of Wands is the card that is just before the Nine of Wands. And Nine of Wands is a very depleted energy. Like this can be quite exciting still. And maybe you are quite, thrilled by something. Maybe you feel like you have a lot of message to convey. But what you are talking to, or what you are trying to like unlock here, is not listening. It doesn't want your advice. It doesn't want to listen. It doesn't want to be part of it. It's not engaging. And that's what I feel like. Just be aware of how much energy you put into this. And if it and maybe some of this can be, your good advice and all your best meaning healing advices or something. But if you're talking to something that is closed off here, it's not going to listen to it anyway. So maybe become aware of how much you spill of this. Like how much do you send to send? How much do you send here? Like how open are you? How much of your heart are you spilling? And you keep standing like this, hoping that someone will take your hand, right? And they're just not doing it. Because in their universe, it's another law. Something else applies. They can't take your hand, I feel like. I guess that they recognize you, like I guess they recognize that you are there, right? They may recognize something in you, but they can't open. And you should just be aware of how much energy you put into all of this. Is it worth it? Like, if you get nothing back, is it worth it? Maybe instead of, like stretching out here, you should just be you. Like, you should become more aware of what you are and who you are, and if you are split in some way, or you feel like you are like a sense of a hybrid between something. And if you are that, you can seek solace with someone, or forgiveness with someone, or something, and you may never get it. Maybe it's better for you to concentrate, instead of looking out there all the time, then look at yourself. Concentrate on what you are and what it is that you want. And if someone out here can't see your value, well, it's up to, like, it's of course up to you, but maybe try to give yourself forgiveness, or maybe try to find healing within yourself, and become aware of how much energy you send out there, and you don't even know if there is a recipient of this, right? And maybe look up these Geminites or something, Gemini tides or something they're called. There is one for you, I know that. And they're circling the earth, and it's a gravitational pull from that event that happened thousands of years ago. But they're still there. Even from the, what is that called? Helios. What's it called? Helios? The Helios impact. There are still dust clouds hanging around Earth from the time where the meteor that killed the dinosaurs was hitting Earth. Like the tail, the dust cloud tail is still there. And some people can feel this, like they can feel that something is that something is nearby. That like some people can feel the change of the moon. Some people can feel this too, like this shower rain here. They can feel that too when it's close to Earth. It's like they feel that there's something potentially threatening, or like an aftermath or something, that there's something still there, something still hanging around. But then they leave again, like then the seasons change. And then it may be Leo who can feel it. Like maybe Leo can feel it, because then it's those that are in the Leo season. I don't recall if there is one for Sagittarius, like Sagittarius season. I don't know, I'm pretty sure there is one for you. And there is one for Leo as well. And I think there is Capricorn also, but I can't remember. There's probably also one, yeah, you are air, Leo is fire, Capricorn is earth. There should be one for water as well, maybe Scorpio season, right? But I can't recall it. It's a long time ago I was reading about it. But you can look it up. Geminites, something like that they're called, I think. It's like this shower rain or a meteor tail, just a tail, the dust cloud tail. But you can actually see it in the sky. If you are out in the field where there are no electric lights, you would be able to see them in the sky at night time. Of course, you can see them with a what is that called? Yeah, if you have an instrument to look for stars, of course you will see them. You could be seeing them even more upfront or clearer. But it should be possible if the sky is clear, you would be able to see them actually. These fire tails, yeah. And maybe that's exactly what this feels like for the other person. Like maybe they feel like they are surrounded by fire tails. Like this shark that is circling, like someone is circling. That they are constantly circled by fire tails. And they don't want to be, right? They want to be sovereign. They want to be, and maybe that's why they uphold a shield, because they don't want to be attacked perhaps here. And again, because maybe your healing advice or all your best interest is in their universe, it's an invasion. Because they're very sovereign, very fixed and very maybe stubborn, sovereign, fixed, independent. Every time you come in with some kind of advice or some kind of healing or something, they feel that you are invading their privacy. So even though you may be doing this for the best reasons, they feel that you're trying to invade it. They will protect itself even more, like the Vatican State. If the Vatican State felt that there was an outside, like influence that wants to get in and change something, it would armor even more. It will call in forces, right? It would armor even more. And that's what happens when we try to reinforce, but I'm only doing this for your best, my friend. All my advices, all my attention, all this I'm doing, it's just for your best. It's to help you and everything. But actually it's maybe a nuisance. Maybe they don't want your help. They are sovereign. They're independent. They don't need you. They don't want your help. They don't want your advice. They don't want your influence. You want it. Because you want to coexist with them. You want to be with them. They don't. So it's like your universes, they don't match. This can only be a match if you become highly codependent and you're serving their needs. It's parasitic. It's not symbiotic. You will be the one always reaching out. You will be the one always being nice, and you will be the one always trying to heal and be pleasant and have access. You can knock on that door forever and you will never have access. Yeah, I wanted one more card on the Eight of Wands here, and I get the round breacher. You see, it's this, the attempt of round breaching. This is the advice, right? That you can try to like breach into a realm, but if this one doesn't want you to, they will try to uphold their defenses as much as possible. It's like an invasion. If you reverse it, how would that feel like if you are the one who keeps up a defense here and something tries to drill itself in, How would that feel like for you if you don't want them to? They keep knocking on your door relentlessly. They never stop knocking on that door relentlessly. And you're just like, you're becoming more and more insane in there, right? Because you just want them to stop knocking. So if you reverse the characters, try to imagine what that would feel like. What would that feel like if someone was stalking you everywhere you went? They were calling you, texting you, and you've blocked them, right? You blocked them, but they sit in their car outside your home, waiting for you to come out. It's a bit like paparazzi news media people, right? That invade your garden, and you can't seem to get them off your ground again. They stay, right? Because they feel entitled to. They feel they must. They feel they should. They should pick up on every movement you make. Think about that for a moment. What would that feel like if it was your own home? So if you are the news reporter, the paparazzi, what if this happened in your own home? That someone knocked on your door constantly, that they were phoning you constantly, that they were like lurking and taking pictures through your windows. Texting you, calling you, writing you, all the time. What would that feel like? So I feel like the advice card here is something like, well, it could be, maybe you're trying to come in with a lot of information here. Maybe you want to try to reach their heart in some way. Like maybe you want them to open their heart. You would want to have communication with them. You try to have access to them in some way. But what if it was the other way around? What if someone tried to access your heart and you didn't want them to? Like you didn't want their attention. You didn't even like them. And now you could be doing this to someone else, and they because if they are not budging, if they stay the same, they don't want to communicate. They have blocked your number. They don't want to talk to you, or they don't want to have heart connection with you. It's probably because there's something wrong here. It doesn't feel good. There's no trust here. And maybe you wanna, maybe you wanna breach the round to get the pearl here. But what if they don't want you to? No matter how much you know, no matter how much you are aware that yeah, but I know we could be brilliant together. I know we could do great things together. I know I will be the right one for him or her. I know that. But if they don't want you to, it's not a caring act to be around breacher then. Even if you know that someone is grieving and that's the reason why they keep up this shell, and you can't have access to them, so you can't find their vibrant, beautiful self. You can't see it anymore. It's totally cloaked with grief. Again, they have to be the ones that open eventually. If they're grieving, they're hurting, right? And you can do everything here to cheer them up, and but eventually it's them. Like they're the ones that must eventually open, right? And if they can't, if they seem like they are lost in time or locked in or frozen or something, you circling it won't help necessarily. Well, of course you can help them, but the heart connection that you are looking for here, you probably won't have it. Not unless they start opening. But I see it here, like wanting to try to reach beyond, like through, or get access through, even though there is defense, that you can somehow have access to the pearl, to the Pope, to the like their inner flame, the beautiful inner them. You can, it could be the feeling that you can see the potential in there, and then you can see the shell of why they're not doing it, and you want to breach through that to have access to that beautiful pearl in there, but to the potential. But it just seems like the more you're trying to do this, I'm not sure that you should. Or again, depending on which one you are you the one sitting here and something tries to have access to you? Or are you the one trying to have access and you're dealing with something very stagnant here? Maybe it's stagnant because actually inside something is going on. Like maybe the pearl in here is actually a creative chaos. Maybe someone is in, when a writer or a painter is about to, is in a process of painting, they may not be ready to reveal it to the world yet. It's not done yet, right? It's a bit like when the baby is in the womb, it won't come out. It won't hatch. The egg won't hatch before it's ready, right? It won't hatch. The baby won't be born, normally not, at least, until it's ready to be born. The womb won't open. The labor won't start until it's ripe, until it's ready. So someone could be in a process here where they are doing something in here, and as long as they are in this, they can't open. It's not ripe, it's not ready, it's still in some kind of process, or as I said, like a grieving process that usually has certain stages, that maybe they are still in there. And no matter what you do around them here, they are still dealing with something that they may or may not come out of. And you can do nothing about that while this is going on. You can keep reinforcing that you are here, that you want the best for them, and you are ready to listen and communicate, but actually it's up to them also to breach, right? It's up to them also to come from the inside and out, and maybe not you from the outside and in, like maybe they need to come from the inside out, and you will just be the one who is circling here, perhaps, but with no force, right? You may still be here waiting, right? You can tell them that, of course. I take my aggression away. I will take my interest. I will take my interest. This is the advice card. Take your interest a bit away, I feel like. Reassure them that you still love them, but you're taking it away so that this can now mold and build, or it has to go through that process that it needs to go through. And then eventually you're hoping that they will breach from the inside and out. And maybe they will come out here like this, that they will show you that they are here with their pearl. They're ready, right? But not until they are ready. And maybe they won't be, but it has to be their process, right? It's a bit like, a writer. And you can be the editor here, circling them. Have you a new book? Do you have a new book for the next novel you are? But you must have a new you must have a new idea. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Right? And the writer never gets a quiet moment to actually think. He or she never gets a quiet moment to become creative. Like they never get a quiet moment to find the new content of the next novel, the new idea, right? That when we circle something very much, the idea never comes because it gets crumbled, right? Like if you try to force a creative force to build, or to any creator, any painter, any writer, like if you want them to write without an idea, it's like a writing block. It's like the muse has not arrived with the idea. The idea hasn't arrived yet. So how can I write? Give me space and let the muse come in, and then I will write. Like when you have a blank canvas in front of you, the muse has to come, and then the painter starts, right? You can start painting, but eventually the muse, like the idea must come. And when the idea comes, then the painter starts, right? Or when you are a musician, you can work with a select set of tunes. But then suddenly the lyric comes in, the muse comes in with the lyric, and you have certain words. Okay, and then when I have this sentence, I can have this music. And then the muse comes with another set of words, and then you write again. But it's like the muse needs a bit of space and quiet and to come in, right? We have to let it come in and be patient. So if someone is your muse here and they are blocked in some way, you have to be patient. Reassure them that you are here, but you will let them have space. And then you're waiting for them to come out of their depression, or you're waiting for them to heal from something or overcome their grief or something, right? Or if they are in a healing mode, let's say this shell is about a search, that they're searching for something. They're searching for themselves, they're searching, or they are on this spiritual path. and they're in this mode right now, and you just seem like you can't seem to have access somehow. You just have to let them finish, I feel like. Let them figure this out. You can stay there, but the more you engage, the more annoying I think it is for them, especially if they are building their own independence here. So let's say this is a child that is trying to build its own independence from you, and you keep being over them, like dictating them all kinds of stuff. Like this is the teenager that closes the door and locks the door and doesn't want you to come in. They are not sharing anything with you. You are not hearing about their secrets. You will not learn anything about their lives. They are closing down here. And you can try, but they're not saying anything. So take that how it resonates for you. But you see the scenario definitely, right? And for some reason, I feel like instead of, like normally if this is the earth and you're trying to like influence the earth, or this is the teenager here, and you're the mother that comes here, and you want to have an impact on the teenager, the attack would come, or the message would come from up here and down. Here it almost feels like now it goes away. Like I take my message away and I leave you to figure something out, right? So I take some kind of thread away, or I take my message away, or I take all my will, all my intentions, all of my intentions, I take them away so that you can figure this out on your own here, right? So that you can figure out how to breach that realm. That you can come from inside your shell here, and you can come out with the idea. But in order for that to happen, you need to get all of this away. All of the things that may seem to want to have an impact on you. Like you want to send that away, or you want to maybe become aware that if this was the other way around, how would that feel? How would that feel? If someone was obsessed here by breaching, wanting to breach or feeling entitled to breach here, by all means. Is that okay? Is it okay to breach? Is it okay to... Maybe you just have to face the fact that you will never know this secret, or you will never have this forgiveness, or you will never have this access. I have the 5 of Raphael here that is clarifying the goddess of the moon here. It's a 5 card, and 5 usually talks about loss or lack, or maybe you're the one grieving here, grieving something. And maybe you're the one who tries to come out of your grief, but it just takes a while. Maybe you have to say no to all of those who come in with all their best advice, to cheer you up. Maybe you have to become the one that decides when you are ready to somehow breach this realm, or to when you are ready, when you have found it, right? It says here, everything happens for a reason. Release regret and embrace the opportunities for happiness. Search for the silver lining. Yeah, so there's something to be found here, a silver lining to be found in the things that you are doing and what this other thing that you're dealing with is doing, or this other part of you is doing. Like if you often find yourself being having inner conflict. There could be a reason for that. Maybe a part of you really wants to be very independent in life, and a part of you feels like, yeah, but I don't have what it takes, so I have to be codependent on something else. Then you have two different energies in you. If you're dealing with someone outside of yourself that is just this hard nut to crack, maybe you're not supposed to crack it. Everything happens for a reason. Sometimes we can't have it our way, like the 5 can indicate that you simply you're not lucky here. You will not have the abundance here. You will not have access. 5 talks about losses and lack and Everything happens for a reason. Release any regret and embrace the opportunities for happiness. Maybe happiness alone here, because you can't be sure that this other thing that you're dealing with, or other part of you, or this other person is ever budging. Depending on what you're dealing with, of course. Embrace your opportunity for happiness. Try to find it, but maybe without this person, right? When you embrace to find your own happiness, it's like you take your awareness away from this other thing or this other person, and you concentrate on what makes you happy in the moment. Which can be like you take all your attention on this other thing, you take it back to yourself, and you concentrate on what makes you happy right now. In that way, you're giving this other thing or this other person space to breathe, right? So I wanted one more card on the opening heart here, and I get Coyote, and this is an interesting energy because it can be a trickster. So as I said, is it you, or are you dealing with a trickster? Right? The Coyote can be a liar, can be someone who is, like they portray in one way, but they actually have some very sneaky you could say agendas. It could be you who has a sneaky agenda, depending on what you are, or which side of the story that you feel like you connect with here. The Coyote is the symbol of the sacred trickster. The one who provides detours for growth and understanding by ensuring that things don't go as planned. The Coyote brings the energy of divine deception to set you free from the shackles of that which doesn't serve you. Sometimes it appears that you will get everything you want, only to find that Coyote brings you the opposite of what you hoped for. The lessons offered by Coyote may at first appear confusing, but they are most sacred and always for your highest good. If Coyote calls to you, this is a time to pay special attention to detours and disappointments, as they are true tests of faith. You have set your intentions and turned them over to the Great Spirit, yet you may find yourself lost and confused when it appears you are being led off course, off the path, leading to your most cherished dreams and desires. Remember this, Coyote is a sacred trickster and may be leading you into challenges to ensure that you are ready to handle what you've set in motion. Great growth and understanding come to you when Coyote calls your name. Are you being seduced by what you think you desire? Could it be that the most superficial, sparkly, shiny aspect of your ambition led you in this moment? Perhaps you feel that in order to get what you desire, you have to compromise yourself, control others, or manipulate situations to ensure your goal is met. Coyote howls in the shadows to remind you that this may be a lesson too painful to learn. Be aware of the shadows. Be aware of the shallow waters right now. Something or someone may pretend to be deep, but that doesn't make them so. No matter how seductive their superficial traits and how beautiful and sparkly they appear, all that glitters there will not turn up gold, no matter how many wishes you make to change that. That's what that's what I feel like. And again, if you're dealing with, for instance, narcissistic behavior in someone, they are definitely a coyote, or what it's called a sacred trickster, like so they turn up and they show you something. And it says here deep connection and water blessing. So you may feel like, okay, finally someone is opening their heart. I reach out to them and it looks so great. But actually, is it? Like, and even when they come out or even when they show up, what are they bringing? Like, is it actually what you want? Is it actually what you hope for? Like, do they show up in the way you hope? Do they show up in the way that you have longed for? Is it actually what you want? Maybe, as I said, maybe you want to be a billionaire, but again, you have to align yourself with that. So when you actually get the billion, you are in a situation where you maybe you're working with something, or you are you have your own business or something, but is it actually what you want? Maybe it has never been about money. Maybe your abundance is love. Like, maybe your abundance is connection. So the money is not, it's probably helpful, but it's not abundance. It's not cornucopia. It's not like infinite supply. It's not this beautiful connection that you may be looking for. So this coyote here could also say that be careful what you wish for, right? Because you may be reaching out to something, but if they actually chose you, they would invite you into a world that you may not want to be part of. Or they are inviting you into a world where you have to give up yourself to be there. The coyote here can also be called the Hayoki among Indian tribes. Hayoki can be is sometimes referred to as a person that is sometimes, well, they can be, it's like they are like a mirror, like they mirror to you something that may be rigid in you, or something that may be shadowy in you, something you don't even like about yourself, and they mimic that behavior. And it can be quite rigid to you because it usually comes with a sense of moon energy. It doesn't feel good while they are doing it, because they're highly empathic, so they can feel it and they start mimicking it to you so you can see it. And it may feel like a real detour, like, what is this? Why am I dealing with this? But actually it's part of you, or it's showing you something about yourself that you either want to pursue, or something that you have to figure out. That it is part of you perhaps, but maybe you don't like it, but it's still part of you. As I said, if you grew up in a dysfunctional family, there are parts of your family members in you. There are parts of your mother and father and your siblings perhaps in you, and you can't just take them out. You can't have surgery and operate out your father like that. You know, it's still part of you. You may not like it, but it's still there. So there's this process of accepting, understanding, coming to terms with, or something like that. And it may be, you know, not the best things here. Like everything happens for a reason. Release any regret. Release these, like also regrets about yourself, right? That you may not like this part of yourself. You may not like that you have this inbuilt tendency to drink, maybe, like your father, or you had this inbuilt tendency to lash out here, fire here, right? That maybe you have seen and grown up in violence, so you know you have this shadow side, that you can become this as well. You may not like it, but you know, but you have grown up in it. It's part of you. You can tell yourself that you hate it and you want to try to hide it and not embrace it, but on the other hand, you can deal with it. You can look for therapy. You can find ways to let this fire out, or you can seek counseling. Then you take responsibility for yourself and even the parts of you that could be damaged or broken, right? And also know that if this happened because of a toxic home that you were born into, that it's not your fault. It has never been your fault. Because people are parents, it doesn't make them good parents necessarily. Because people are parents doesn't mean that they have dealt with their wounds. Because they're parents doesn't mean that they have cleared and healed and forgiven their own past. Many hold on to them. Many are in the shell. Many don't want to open. They still get children. They still get into new relationships. They still keep the wounds alive. But it doesn't mean that it's okay. I'm just saying it is. It's there. And you could be dealing with someone or something or a part of yourself that doesn't want to budge. And you may need to accept that. Right? Release any kind of regret, even though it's a part of yourself that you seem like, I can't seem to find any solution to this. Just release any regret about that. Release any regret that you can't have a say in your teenager's life. Perhaps, right? Not by, like being a shark around them. Release any regret about that they are seeking their own independence, right? They are trying to grow up, and as long as I'm like over them like a hawk here, they can't breathe. They can't figure this out on their own. They can't grow. They can't get their own ideas. The muse is killed, right? So take that how it resonates in your life, but this is what I get. So either this is someone who could be doing this to you, or you feel, or you are clinging on to some story here, or something with someone else, and trying to fix it. I feel like trying to get through and fix it, or maybe heal it, or change it, or something. I just feel like, what if this was you? what if someone came and suddenly out of the blue decided that there was something wrong with you and I want to fix it. So I come in now and I want to fix you. Wouldn't that feel invasive? Wouldn't it feel like way too possessive in some way? Way too dominant? Unless you've asked for it, right? If you haven't asked for it, like, you probably don't want it. There is a reason why you are the way you are right now. Whether you have got like walls up or not, it's still a choice. It's still where you are. And having people just tear down these walls from the outside, this can only be a thing if you ask for it, if you ask for help, or if someone else is asking for help. Then they have already lowered their guard, you know. They have already lowered their sword if they are asking for help. But if they are not asking for help, the wall is up, right? They don't need you to like mess with them. They don't need you to like influence them. If they've never asked for your help, if they've never asked for your influence, if they've never asked for your advice, it seems like they don't want it, right? And you can have all the regret you want, but it is what it is. You're dealing with another universe. It doesn't want to budge. And being stuck there, like being codependent with someone who is very independent or doesn't want to budge, this is intermittent reinforcement. This can become an addiction. Intermittent reinforcement is one of the most addictive patterns that you can ever find. It is exactly what happens when you go to a gaming, a casino. You know that there is a slight possibility to have a big win. And you can have many games where you lose, but then there's this one game where you will have the big win. And it's like that big win, that serotonin release is so accumulated that when it comes, it's such a big relief that you immediately start gambling again because you want it again. Like you want it again and again and again and again and again. You want it all the time, but you rarely get it. That is intermittent reinforcement. It's highly addictive. Only sometimes they show you, only sometimes they let you see, only sometimes you have a bit of heart connection, only sometimes you can have the 5 minutes and then it's closed again. Like with the dementia patient. And you come every day for those maybe, highly unlikely 5 minutes, but you come every day for them. This is addictive. Like a drug addict, like any other addiction, gaming, shopping, whatever, it's highly addictive, it's difficult to handle, and the control is never in your hands. It's always on something or someone else. This is what I feel like I have for you, Gemini. I feel it's old. Again, this can be something that has been played out in family dynamics, like in or with you or a brother, or you or a sister, or you or a physical twin. You know, like something has been playing out here, and it could have been reinforced by the way you grew up, the way your parents grew up, the gender thing between men and women. There could be something like that, where you see like how that something becomes like an addiction. There is actually something called love addiction. It's a Stockholm syndrome. It's like a trauma bond. That's what I get here, something like that. I hope this helps somehow, Gemini. Take care of yourself out there. Love and light to you.